On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Oaths are odd things. You don't see them around much anymore, and when you belong to an organization that has one, they are a source of inspiration, conviction, and solidarity. But they can also be dangerous, either by inspiring loyalty to an unworthy cause, or by masking flaws in what is, at its heart, a good organization. For many years now, I haven't felt like I could honestly swear the Scout oath, not just because I'm an adult now, but because of certain problems in the Boy Scout organization. Even now, I feel like Boy Scouts has one final change to make before I could support them as an organization, but that's a topic for another day. Today I want to talk about a change they made in the summer of 2017, the decision to let girls join Cub Scouts, and subsequently to earn all Scouting awards. I'd like to voice my support for this decision by responding to one of the videos disparaging it. This is just my opinion, of course, meant to provide an alternate view rather than to establish objective facts. Consider this both an homage to and a defense of an organization to whom I owe a debt, even if I do not owe them my loyalty. Well, enough chit-chat, let's get into the thick of it. This is James Allsup. He thinks girls shouldn't be allowed into Boy Scouts because girls would be too well behaved. I gotta admit, I haven't heard this one before.
When you have boys and girls participating, the boys will be judged by the same standards as the girls. Their rambunctiousness, their wildness, their exuberance, and their, being full of energy will be seen as a negative like it is in the American public school system.
It seems intuitively true that boys are more active than girls, and there's even some experimental evidence to back this up, like this study that tracked the number of steps taken between the genders. But would it really be harmful to young boys if they were held to the same behavioral standards as girls? We do it all the time in school and in our family lives. If an action is inappropriate for a girl, then it's inappropriate for a boy. And if it's fine for boys to do, then it's fine for girls to do. So I don't see how the mere presence of well-behaved scouts would actually harm the badly behaved scouts, especially since so much of scouting is about good behavior. When I was in Scouts, I was definitely more on the quiet, well-behaved side of the spectrum, and I don't think this disqualified me from scouting.
It will take away, really, the machismo and the adventurousness that was at these boys' camps. It'll take away the feeling of brotherhood and camaraderie, because when you're a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy who's out at one of these camps, your mind is not going to be on the merit badge. It'll not be on the activities like it's supposed to. It's going to be on the girls, and I know that speaking as a former 13, 14, 15-year-old boy myself.
Trust me, as a former Boy Scout, segregating boys and girls does not stop boys from thinking about girls.
The Boy Scouts should be a refuge from women, really.
A refuge from women!
It really should be. It should be a refuge from the nagging and
nagging.
all the other negative effects of women,
Yeah,
but
all
also
the negative
from
effects
girls.
of
This
women.
is supposed to be an area where you and your boys, you and your friends can go and get along and have fun. You'll know that camping and going on overnight trips is a large part of what Boy Scouts do. This is one of the great opportunities to go to these week-long camps and get your merit badges and swim and adventure and hike and shoot and all of this stuff.
Yeah, that stuff was fun, wasn't it? I wonder if girls would have fun doing it too.
Parents of little girls and teen girls, they're not going to want to send their teen girls and their little girls out to go do the rough stuff that the boys have to do, and they'll want it to be protected and safe.
Yeah, parents of boys also want their children to be protected and safe. There is no activity that is safe enough for young boys, but not safe enough for young girls.
How are they going to handle this now segregated housing that they'll need for boy and girl campers?
Boys and girls camping together?
A planet where apes evolved from men?
In all seriousness, I understand why some people are concerned at this idea. Coed camping definitely requires special rules and leaders who strictly enforce them, but Boy Scouts already have these kinds of rules. I remember an incident to illustrate this from when I was a wee little Cub Scout. There were only 5 or 6 of us and only a handful of tents, and I was a bit of a loner who hadn't found a clique yet among the other scouts, most of whom had already made eager plans to share one of the tents. Being a naive and innocent Cub Scout, I remember asking my scoutmaster if I could sleep in his tent. since he had a big four-man tent all to himself. He tactfully explained that there were strict rules prohibiting scoutmasters and scouts from sharing tents, and in the end I had to spend the night squished up with the other scouts while my scoutmaster had enough space to take his pack inside and keep his gear dry. I didn't really get it until I was a little older. Now, nobody bats an eye at these rules about sharing tents, and nobody sees them as so oppressive that it takes all the fun out of camping, so it's hard to imagine why these rules would be a problem with integrated campouts. I've been on integrated youth campouts when I was young with church groups or school groups, and the common sense approaches seem to work just fine. Have adult leaders of both sexes, never leave the camp without permission, stay together as a patrol, etc. The Boy Scouts already has most of these rules. In the United States, Venture Scouts has been integrated for years, and considering that these scouts begin at age 14, you would think that they would be particularly vulnerable to, well, boys and girls doing what boys and girls do. And yet the Venture Scouts seem to have survived without having a reputation for danger or scandal. The scouting organizations in other countries have also been integrated for years, like the Scouts in the United Kingdom, and the last time I checked, those islands haven't sunk into the sea just yet. Although maybe a combination of having female scouts and Brexit will do the trick.
We know that men and women tend to have different ways they behave. They tend to have different characteristics. Men tend to be more daring and adventurous and bold, and the women tend to be interested in more, homely things.
Let us say, for the sake of argument, that this is true. So what? Surely you must agree that at least some girls can also be daring and adventurous and bold. Why not let these girls join the Scouts? And if you think we should exclude people who aren't daring and adventurous and bold, what should we do with all those boys that don't really fit these adjectives? But what frustrates me the most about these listed values is that these are not the Boy Scout values. How do I know they're not? Because Boy Scouts taught me what the Scout values are. They are encoded into the law. And I challenge anybody who wants to continue the gender segregation of Scouts to tell me which of these character traits is inappropriate for girls. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And hungry.